Welcome everyone to the 12th installment of the ANA Legacy Series, in which we get acquainted with legends, heroes, and icons of the numismatic hobby. I am your host, Kim Kick, Executive Director of the American Numismatic Association. This evening, we are delighted to welcome our special guest, author and numismatist, Bill Feva. Georgia collector, author, and ANA Life member Bill Feva has been a dedicated hobbyist for 70 years. He first joined the association in 1959. Bill specializes in Buffalo nickels, Mercury dimes, Morgan and Peace dollars, mint errors and varieties, hobo nickels, and love tokens. With the late J.T. Stanton, he co-wrote the popular Cherry Picker's Guide to Rare Die Varieties of the United States Coins, first published in 1990. Whitman Publishing released Volume 1 of the 6th edition in 2015, and Volume 2 is slated for debut later this year. He also authored Helpful Hints for Enjoying Coin Collecting in 1999, Bill Feva's Counterfeit Detection Guide, a pocket edition of how to identify counterfeit and altered non-gold coins in 2001, and United States Gold Counterfeit Detection Guide in 2005. Bill, that's quite an accomplishment.
Thank you.
Bill served 2 terms as an ANA governor from 1985 to 1989 and received the association's highest honor, the Farron Zerbe Memorial Award, for distinguished service in 1995. In 2001, he was named ANA Numismatist of the Year. The following year, he was inducted into the Numismatic Hall of Fame. Welcome, Bill. We're so pleased that you could join us tonight.
Thank you so much.
Bill, you were born in Fulton, not far from Syracuse in upstate New York. From 1940 to 1970, the population of this small town hovered around 14,000. What was it like growing up there?
Small town atmosphere. You got to know everybody. I enjoyed it tremendously. Got to play little sports in high school, and started actually my numismatic career when I was in high school. So it was that was the genesis of my collecting career, really.
What did you do for fun in Fulton?
Played athletics. My dad was a hunter and a fisherman. Loved to go hunting and fishing with Dad, and have some pleasant memories. He bought a 100-acre farm just outside of Fulton, New York, and we would go out there and hunt and fish. And for about 5 years, we did a lot of tree planting, and we planted well over 1,000 trees out there, which of course now are probably as high as this ceiling. But he was very much a naturalist and a conservativist, and just enjoyed the outdoors, as did I. So.
Wonderful. Well, you and your father and your grandfather shared a sweet legacy in Fulton. Can you tell us about it?
Yes, the main plant of Nestle was in Fulton, New York, which was about 3 blocks from my home. And we could always tell when it was going to rain because we lived on the north side of the plant, and the south wind blew that chocolate smell up to our house, and you could always tell when it was going to rain, and it hardly ever failed. So that was a joy, and I can still smell chocolate, I'll tell you.
Hey, I also learned that Nestle's Crunch Bar and the popular chocolate drink, Nestle's Quick, now known as Nesquik, were developed in Fulton. Is that correct?
That's correct. Among many, many other products, like many of the chocolate bars beside Crunch, there was what they called a 3-decker, which is no longer made. There were cream-centered bars, which are no longer made, and several other products that were developed in Fulton that did very well in the market. But now Nestle has unfortunately sold its chocolate bar business to Ferraro, which is a Italian company. and they no longer make the bars there. And more unfortunately, the plant closed in 2003. It employed about 1,500 people at the time, and it was devastating to a town with a population of about 14,000. So they fell on hard times, and it was quite dramatic. Yeah.
And I don't imagine you've forgotten the quick jingle.
Oh no!
Would you sing it for us?
Why, sure. Nestles, Nestle's makes the very best chocolate.
I love it, love it.
Anybody remember the name of the dog? Farfel, exactly. And Jimmy O'Day was the ventriloquist that had Farfel, and he was our spokesperson for many, many years. Yep.
It sounds like you had a wonderful career there.
Oh yes, yeah, it was wonderful.
Bill, you began collecting coins when you were 16 years old, as you stated earlier. How did you get started, and which issues interested you the most?
My dad had a bunch of the old Liberty nickels, had them in a wooden box that he had made, and my uncle had some Indian cents, and they gave them to me, thought I might be interested in them, which I was. So as everybody started, I bought the Whitman books, plugged them in the blue Whitman books, and that's how I got started, and then generated to other denominations. So.
Was coin collecting a family activity, or did you follow the hobby on your own?
I pretty much followed it on my own. My dad had a passing interest. He was a doctor in Fulton. Had a passing interest in it, but it was pretty much my own desire to follow it.
Okay, okay. In 1972, you graduated from a prep school in Gill, Massachusetts. You went on to Hamilton College in Clinton, New York, where you obtained a bachelor's degree in 1956 in fine arts with minors in psychology and education. It was there that you became acquainted with your future wife, Marilyn Briggs. Please tell us how you met.
Interesting story. I played football up there, plus baseball and basketball. And my junior year, 1954, we went up a couple of weeks early for practice before school opened. And my best friend on the football team, who later became my best man, injured himself during practice, and they took him over to the infirmary. Well, after practice, I went over to see how Fritz was doing, and walked in, and boy, here was this cute blonde nurse over there, brand new nurse. She had just graduated from Faxton Hospital in Utica, and it was her first job. So I, of course, looked in on Fritz to see how he's doing. Every day I went over to see how he was doing. He finally got out. I went back every day to see how Fritz was doing, even though he wasn't there. And kept seeing Marilyn, and we were married in 1956 after I graduated. Went in the Navy, and she followed me in several towns where I was involved with the Navy. Newport, I went to OCS at Newport. She came down there and was assigned to a ship in San Diego. So we moved out to San Diego with one little boy. And while we were out there, our other child, Diane, who is seated next to Marilyn, was born. And it was interesting because Bill, our son, was born on September the 10th in 1957. Diane was born on September 9th, 1958, a year and a day apart. Wow. Those New Year Eve parties were tough.
Bill, 2 months after you and Marilyn married, you entered the United States Navy Officer Candidate School in Newport, Rhode Island. Right. You then served in the Navy Reserve as a lieutenant junior grade until 1959, at which time you returned to Fulton and joined the sales team of Nestle's. What did you learn in those early years about working with people and cultivating relationships?
I think the most important thing in sales, and really in anything, is to sell yourself before you sell your product. You only get one chance to form a first impression. And that's an old saying, but it's very, very true. And if you can present yourself to the degree where your customers trust you and believe what you say, that goes an awful long way in your sales effort and in life. So that's something that I've always tried to keep in mind, and it's worked pretty well for me.
Very well. Your job took you in Maryland from Fulton to other cities in the eastern United States, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania.
Right in Hershey's backyard,
Right in
incidentally,
Hershey's
with Nestle.
backyard with Nestle. I love it. White Plains, New York, Buffalo, New York, St. Louis, Missouri, back to Buffalo, and then to Wilton, Connecticut. You finally ended up in Georgia in 1975. How long did it take to get involved in the local numismatic scene?
Probably 3 days. No, it wasn't very long. Of course, I scouted out all the local coin clubs, and at that time there were 2 coin clubs, as I recall, the Doraville Coin Club and the Atlanta Coin Club. The Atlanta Coin Club is now extinct, but the Doraville Coin Club, which is now the Metropolitan Coin Club of Atlanta, is alive and kicking and doing very, very well. It's the top club in Georgia, and we have outstanding membership there. People who are very, very devout and very, very specialized in many, many areas. And if there's anyone here in the room that lives in the area, there is I'm a little commercial now. There is a club table in the club table section from Mecca. Please stop down and get some information on it. I think you'll enjoy it. We have a wonderful club, and we cater to juniors, YNs, young numismatics, which is a tremendous asset for all coin clubs. And we have one of those young men right here sitting in the back row. And he is going to be, how many of you know John Karelovich, who is one of the top researchers? That's the next John Karelovich right there. Trey, stand up and let everybody see you.
Yes.
One of the nicest and politest young men I've ever had the pleasure of meeting, I'll tell you.
Wonderful. Was it during this time that you attended your first ANA convention?
Yeah, I think it was. I don't remember the first year that I did attend. It was probably around 1976 or 7.
Wow.
I think. Yeah.
Wow.
77 was here, so you'd remember that.
Yeah, I
that
guess
may have been it.
I would. Yeah, I know I was at that one.
76 was in New York.
Yeah, I did not attend that, so probably the first one was here.
That's
in
wonderful,
77.
1977,
Yep.
okay. You attended the ANA's annual summer seminar in Colorado Springs for the first time in 1980 and became a regular fixture at that event. There, you were respected for your numismatic knowledge and beloved for your outgoing personality. What made the seminar experience so special to you?
One word: people. Really. You meet so many people, different people out there, so diversified in their interests. And I just enjoyed talking to as many people as I could. You get people that collect currency, which I know nothing about, and I tried to glean as much information as I could from those people. You meet people that are interested in ancient coins. My first year out there, 1980, Ken Brissett in the front row here and Tom DeLaurie were teaching a grading class. And I called Tom, who was a good friend. He used to be editor of the error section of Coin World. And I called Tom and I said, Tom, is there still room in the summer seminar grading class? He said, the one that Ken and I are teaching? I said, yeah. He said, yeah, there's room, but not for you. I said, what do you mean? He said, you're going to come out and help us teach. So that's how I got involved.
Oh, that's neat.
I think I attended 1 or 2 other classes in different years, but every year I've been an instructor out there.
Wow, that's a neat story. You are particularly known for your expertise in cherry picking, finding worthwhile and sometimes rare varieties in dealers' boxes of low-value coins. When did you learn of this practice and start pursuing it seriously?
Probably in the late 1980s. In the 1980s, my sales job with Nestle took me pretty much all throughout the Southeast, and that included the St. Louis and Kansas City area in Missouri. Pardon me. One of my favorite haunts in St. Louis was Scotsman's Coins in St. Louis, and it's Jay's last name again. It just escaped me. Anyway, he had a shop there, and before I started visiting my customers, which opened 9 o'clock or 9:30, Jay Woodside. He had a habit of getting into the shop about 6:30 or 7 o'clock, so I would meet him at the door, and he was good enough to let me go in the vault in the back and look through any of the coins that I wanted to, take out the ones that I wanted to buy, the varieties, and it generated, every time I went out, I visited Jay in his vault. And after about 2 years of that, he said, Bill, he says, you know, you're looking for all these varieties. Why don't you write down all the varieties that you're looking for, and we'll look for them out here. It'll save you a lot of time. He said, better than that, why don't you write a book on it? I said, well, I never thought of that. I'm not an author of any sort. But I said, I'll consider it. One of my good friends from Savannah, J.T. Stanton, was a publisher, and he was very interested in coins and dye varieties, as was I. So we got together, and being a printer, he said, okay, I can print a book for you. So we collaborated, and that's how the Cherry Pickers started back in late 1870. Back in the late 1980s. And the first Cherry Pickers was published in 1990. It was about that thick, and now it's that thick,
Wow.
and in 2 volumes. And that's really how it started, through Jay Woodside at Scotsman's Coins. So all credit really goes to him for the genesis of the Cherry Pickers Guide.
Well, you mentioned your co-author, J.T. Stanton, who passed away in 2018.
Right.
And you shared with us kind of how you got together to compile this essential reference. I imagine you had some great experiences with JT along the way. What are among the most memorable?
A lot of them I can't repeat. I can tell you one, though. At the summer seminar, he was an instructor as well. We always had a YN auction, and they still do at the summer seminar. I flew out with JT, and when I unpacked, I couldn't find my underwear.
Oh, my.
And I knew I'd packed it. I couldn't understand where it could have gone. Well, JT had gotten into my bag and taken it. Both pairs. No, all of the underwear that I brought with me. I said, JT, I can't find my underwear. He said, I'll take you up to Kmart. We'll buy some up there. So he drove me up to Kmart. I bought a package of underwear, 6 or 8, however they came. Went back and didn't think of it. Come the time of the auction, the YN auction, there was a mystery lot all wrapped up. I was the auctioneer. And it was labeled as a mystery lot. And I said, okay, folks, here's a mystery lot. I don't know what's in here. I have no idea. Could be worth a dime. It could be worth $100. I don't know. Everybody else in the audience was in on this, except me. This mystery lot was a pair of my underwear. I auctioned it off, and because everybody was interested in it, I think it brought about $300.
Wow.
They knew I didn't. And after it sold, JT said, Bill, open the lot. I said, I didn't buy it. I'm not going to open it. He says, open the lot. So I opened the lot, and here was a pair of my underwear, autographed by 15 or 20 people. And the rest of the story, the next year, or it was auctioned off the next year too. The third year, they slabbed it between two pieces of plastic. And I auctioned it off too again. So that's about the only story I can tell about JT.
That's a pretty good one. That's a first for all of us in this room. Earlier today, Bill, you and Whitman publisher Dennis Tucker delivered a Money Talks presentation highlighting some of the popular new varieties that will appear in the upcoming edition of the Cherry Picker's Guide. Which one do you feel is most exciting?
Which edition?
Or
Oh,
which?
or which variety?
Which I would say which variety.
Which
and-
variety?
Yeah.
I've always loved the 1961 proof Franklin half with the double die reverse. It's got everything going for it. First of all, it's a proof. The doubling is very, very dramatic. It's naked eye doubling. It's a $50. It's a large coin, and it's a limited production. So I think if I had to pick one coin, that would probably be my favorite variety. It happened to be the cover coin on 5th edition, volume 2. 5th edition, volume 2. So I kind of spearheaded that because I love that coin. And back before it was really well known, I think at one time I had about 20 pieces. All proof, of course. And now they're selling, I think it's 66 or 67, it's selling for $3,000 or $4,000, something like that.
Wow.
But it's a dramatic doubling. Tough to find now because everybody's opened their 61 proof sets to look for it. But if you ever find any sealed 1961 proof sets, really sealed by the mint, not taped or anything, if you have to pay a little more than bid, it might be worth the chance to find one. So that's a heads up for you.
That's a great heads up. That's right. If you were to share one piece of advice this evening about cherry picking or collecting in general, what would it be and why?
Well, in cherry picking, the key to cherry picking is knowing where on the coin to look. Certain denominations like the Washington Quarter, one of the areas you should look to pick up a double die, for example, is the motto, "In God We Trust." Quite often that's where the doubling will occur. Also on mint marks, for doubled mint marks or repunched mint marks. That's another area. There are other areas on coins that are rather obscure. For example, in the Seated Liberty series, a lot of times there's what we call a misplaced date, where the bottom of an 8 or the bottom of a 5 will be up in the rock that Liberty is sitting on. You can just see the very bottom of it. But it's a punch that was misplaced. Or down in the denticles, below the date, sometimes you'll see the tops of numbers down there. So it depends on the series, and every series is different area to look for. Probably the easiest way to learn how to, where to look for a coin, probably the best way is to buy a cherry picker's book. Or two.
You are among the very capable and talented writers employed by Whitman Publishing. What's it like to work with an operation that is so dedicated to promoting the numismatic hobby?
It's a sincere pleasure, and I mean that very sincerely. The people are wonderful. They are very receptive to new ideas. Dennis does a marvelous job as the publisher. Mary is very, very easy to work with. And I just enjoy working with him. It's no pain, no strain. It's a great organization.
Wonderful.
You can pay me later.
And I agree. Yeah. Before your fame as an author, you served 4 years as a member of the ANA Board of Governors. Your contributions to the association during this time were valuable, and yet you did not run for president when the opportunity arose. Why not?
Very frankly, I don't like politics. I kind of hate to say that, but every organization has its politics. I never really aspired to be a president. I felt I could do more good as a board member and try to get my points across there. And even in national politics, I'm pretty much apolitical. So I guess I like people too much. I don't know. But it's still a wonderful organization, and I don't mean to demean it in any way, but you just, in large organizations, and all of you know, every organization has politics. So I just didn't really aspire to be president.
Okay, all right. Well, you have prepared many numismatic exhibits at numerous ANA shows and twice have received the People's Choice Award. What appeals to you about the exhibiting process?
Sharing is caring. If I like something, I'm in high hopes that other people will like it too. And I try to, when I exhibited, I haven't in a long time, but I try to make the exhibit as user-friendly as possible. And by that I mean the text that I prepare for the exhibit, I try to use layman's terms as much as possible, because most of the people are people that come in from the street and look at the exhibits. They might have a passing fancy in numismatics. They may be super intelligent numismatics, numismatists. But I guess I felt that if I appeal to the general public, maybe that'll pique their interest and they'll become more interested in numismatics and get more involved.
So you planted the seeds.
Trying.
Over your long career in numismatics, you have made lots and lots of friends, Bill, all of whom enjoy your fun-loving personality. If they were to tell tales about you,
Uh-oh.
what would some of the more unusual stories be? Marilyn might be the one to tell all that.
I read this question. They sent me the questions ahead of time, and I read this, and I said, "Oh boy." I'll be honest with you. I can't think of any that I can tell. I honestly can't.
Okay.
We don't know. No.
We're not going to share those stories. Ken?
It can be.
Bill, your years in the hobby have not been all fun and games. On 2 occasions, your collection was burglarized. Every numismatist's worst nightmare. What did you learn from those unfortunate incidents, and what advice can you offer to collectors?
Unfortunately, that's a subject that is becoming increasingly more pervasive. Robberies and burglaries. I was robbed. I wasn't burglarized. The home was not burglarized. My car was. I had coins in the trunk once, and they popped the trunk, and there were no damage to the car whatsoever. They popped the trunk and took a satchel out of there. Had some original hobo nickels from Bo and Bert, and a lot of other coins are probably $15,000, $20,000 worth. Fortunately, about 15 years after that burglary, a dealer in North Carolina called me and said, "Bill, I think I've got your hobo nickels." A lady came in with every one but one of the nickels that were stolen. He knew that they were my coins because I had visited him shortly after they were stolen and told him what coins had been stolen. So he identified him, gave me a call. I drove right up there from Atlanta up to North Carolina, Asheville, and I said, "Yep, these are mine." And I said, "I'll give you what you paid for them and additional money." He said, "Nope." He said, "They're yours." And that was Bill Wright, who is, I just learned tonight he's closed his shop up in Asheville. But that's the kind of a guy Bill was. Wow. So no matter how I tried to coerce him, he would not take any money for him. So I got the hobo nickels back at least. Another time I gave a dealer on a Bourse floor a 2x2 box and of dollar varieties. He put it behind his table. I came back about 4 hours later to see if he wanted to buy any of them. He couldn't find the box. Somebody had lifted it from the back table. So those were the 2 times that,
Okay.
the only, fortunately, that I was robbed.
Is there any advice you can
Yeah,
offer to collectors?
yeah. When you go to a coin show, you should have 3 eyes. 1 to look at the road ahead of you, and 2 to look behind you. When you leave a show, first of all, gas up before you go to a show and before you leave a show without the coins in your car, okay? Make sure you got a full tank of gas. When you leave a show, make very, very sure that nobody pulls out of the parking lot and follows you. Keep your eye on that back mirror. If you think somebody is following you, get off at the first exit and see if they follow you. If they don't, fine. If they do, get back on, get off the next exit. If he's still behind you, go to a police station. Very, very cautious when you're leaving or going to a show, especially when you're leaving. So if there was one bit of advice that I could give you, be very cognizant of that and know your surroundings. Another thing that you'll hear probably, when is your presentation, Rod, on the financial? It was today. Okay, those of you that were at Rod's presentation, when you leave this planet and you have a collection that's going to be sold or disseminated by your heirs, please, please make sure that how you want to dispose of that is in your will, very specifically. Who you should go to, who you should not go to sell it. And above all, in the obituary, and this is a little morbid, but in your obituary, do not have your spouse or surviving member mention that you're a coin collector. Because there are bad guys out there that look up and down those obits, and if there's a coin collecting mention in there, when you're at the funeral, they're in your house. So be very aware of that. Or coin club, yeah. Mm-hmm. So I guess that would be the advice that I would
It's good
give.
advice. Your children, your daughter Diane and your late son Bill, as well as your grandchildren and great-grandchildren, know your passion for numismatics. Have any of the younger generations expressed an interest in the hobby?
No, unfortunately not. I'd like to introduce my family, if I may, at this time.
That would be wonderful.
On the end is our daughter-in-law, Jean, our grandson, Jake, our son-in-law, John, our daughter, Diane, or Diney, and most of all, my wife, Marilyn. Marilyn, that's it. And we'll celebrate our 64th anniversary this year.
Oh, here, happy anniversary. Congratulations
Thank you.
to both of you. You are outspoken regarding the importance of numismatic education and sharing the hobby with children. What makes coin collecting a great pastime for kids, even when so many activities compete for their attention?
Coin collecting has everything going for it. Coins represent art, they represent history, they represent economics. There's so many facets of coin collecting that should interest the youth if they would just stop and do a little research on a coin that interests them, where it came from, how it was used, who might have handled this coin, what it might have bought. There's so much that involved in a coin that we really wish that more young people could be involved. I mentioned Trey, and he is a super young man that is going to go a long way in numismatics. I wish there were 550 more of them. Throughout the country, if you can generate any interest at all among the YNs in your local coin club, I urge you to do so. Unfortunately, the youth of today, it's all electronics. I've been asked many, many times, how do we get youth interested in numismatics? I don't know if there is an answer. I truly don't know if there is an answer. If there is, I think it has to involve electronics in some way, because that's the age we're living in. I really don't know if there is an answer, to be truthful with you.
Bill, in your 70 years of collecting, What were among your most exciting finds or purchases and why?
Aside from those 1961 proof halves that I mentioned, one time in Kansas City, I visited a local coin dealer, and about a 1829 dime, and it was the Curl Base 2, which is a very, very rare coin. It was only in good condition, but it was a Curl Base 2, which you just don't find them. And I later sold that one, I think. Jim O'Donnell, I believe, bought that for, I think, about $1,000.
Okay.
Another time I was in a local coin shop and I bought a transitional 1841 dime. It had a closed bud reverse, and that was an extra find, which was one of the high grades known at the time, and I made a very nice profit on that. But the money wasn't important, it was the thrill of finding it.
Yeah.
That's the kick that I get out of collecting. It's the thrill of the hunt, the exultation of the find. So I heartily recommend cherry picking if you are looking for an avenue down which to go.
Very good. These days, many peoples have no interest in inheriting their parents' keepsakes and collections. Does this bother you?
Yeah, and it gets back to what I said before. Please take heed and spell out as much as you can where to go with your coin collection once you leave. Not only who to sell it to, but where the coins are. And if possible, some sort of value of the coins. It might take a little time, but with the spreadsheets now, you can do it in half the time or a quarter of the time that you used to be able to do it writing out. So make as much, document your coins as much as you possibly can. It makes it a lot easier and a lot more comfortable for your heirs when they go to sell them. The problem that arises if you don't do that, if they're not interested in coins, don't give a hoot, they're just little round shiny things, they're going to take them to a pawn shop or they're going to sell them to somebody in a hotel room that advertises we buy coins, and you're going to get pennies on the dollar. So be as specific as you can with how to handle your estate, your numismatic estate, and it'll serve you well in the end, I'll guarantee you.
What are your thoughts about the future of the hobby, and do you have any advice for the ANA or the United States Mint regarding what they might do to ensure its longevity?
Very good question. I've given this some thought, and I haven't come up with too many answers. As far as the future of the hobby, I'm the eternal optimist. I think there's always going to be coin collecting and numismatists. I really do. Even if we go to a cashless society and it's all plastic, there are always going to be people that have enough interest in history and art and beauty to collect coins. So I think that's going to be a no-brainer as far as I'm concerned. As far as suggestions for the ANA, I think just keep doing what you're doing. Try to get new members, which is an increasingly difficult thing to do because of the aging of the members. I've often thought, and Ken and I have discussed this, maybe we're trying to target the wrong audience. Maybe it's not the YNs we should be going for. Maybe it's the yuppies that have started a coin collection back when they were young. In the typical scenario, when they get to high school or college, they find other interests like girls, athletics, okay? They get married, have a couple kids. Down the road, a couple years, they remember that coin collection they have some disposable income, they pick up on the coin collection again. Maybe that's the target area we ought to concentrate on. So that might be something I would suggest to them. As far as the mint goes, oh boy. I have written to at least 4 mint directors, giving them some suggestions. Number one suggestion I gave them is to mint to demand. By that I mean when a new issue comes out, give a specific ordering period, let's say 30 days, Anybody who wants to order that particular coin, get your order in within this 30 days. When that 30 days is over, cut it off. No more. Gives people plenty of time to order as many as they want, and at the end of the time, they stop it. They produce that many coins that they have orders for, plus a couple percent or 5% more for returns or damage or whatever. That way, everybody has a chance to buy as many coins as they want of that particular item, okay? They don't have to rely on a secondary market or selling all of them to dealers and worrying about that. That would be my first suggestion. My second suggestion concerns the marketing of the coins that they're producing. My suggestion to the mint director was to form a panel of probably 4 or 5 numismatists, dealers, collectors, investors, and I guess that's about it, three of them, dealers, investors, and collectors. Form a panel of about 5 people that know the market and can counsel the marketing people at the mint on how to market the coins. Right now, unfortunately, in my opinion, they don't have a clue. They make tons too many coins, or they make tons too few coins. So I think if they had a panel to advise them, it would go a long, long way. So.
Thank you, Bill. Bill, if you were to sum up your collective numismatic wisdom in 10 words or less, what would you say?
I can do it in 2 words. Have fun. Really, I mean it. Have fun. A hobby is numismatics. A hobby should be fun. So that would be my advice to everybody. Don't worry so much about whether you're going to make money or not. If you see a coin you like, buy it, even if you don't collect it. That's what I do. Wow, that's a nice coin. It's a silver denarius. I have known nothing about it, but I think the price is right. I like it. I'll buy it. Have fun. Study the coin. What did I buy? Do a little research on it. Just think of all the hands that has gone through and what it's bought. That's where your history comes in, and that's where the fun comes in.
Thank you, Bill. And now let's entertain some questions from the audience. If you have, if you have a question, please raise your hand, and ANA Managing Editor Caleb Noel will hand you the microphone.
Here's the club member.
Hey, Bill. My question is, you've been collecting coins 70 years, almost as old as I am. And you collected starting with the low denominations and so forth, and so did I, and so forth. Now that you've had this 70 years of experience, would you recommend young numismatists to do something differently in order to enter the hobby because of what we have? I mean, it's changed dramatically from slabs and so forth. Yeah. So what is your perspective about the young numismatist now?
Well, I think a lot of it gets back to my previous comment about having fun. There's so many avenues out there down which they can go, pardon me, that, excuse me, just a second.
I'll have one
You can
too.
cut this off if you want. So many avenues down which they can go, and I'm sure our friend Trey can back me up on this. He's interested a lot in nice toned coins, and he's got an eye, let me tell you. He'll cherry pick the eyes out of you dealers that are in the room, I'll guarantee. He showed me some coins that he purchased, blazing cameo proofs, and he's got a really, really good eye. So if you do get involved in numismatics, which I hope you do, don't go broad brush. Don't try to collect everything at one time. Concentrate on 1 or 2 series. Learn everything you can about those, be they Buffalo nickels or Lincoln cents. Study the books that are written on those coins. Study the grading guide. Learn everything you can. What you learn about those 1 or 2 series, you can apply to any other series. So,
Any other questions from the audience?
Bill, first of all, I would say that it's an honor being your publisher.
Thank you.
That is something I will always cherish. And thank you for everything that you've done for the hobby.
Thank you very much.
Having said that, no.
Uh-oh.
No, you and I have talked a lot about coins,
Yep.
and I'm curious, have you ever collected medals, or do you have any insight on medals? I know that you said that you don't do much with paper money.
Right.
Ancients are more of a, if it catches your eye, you might buy one. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on medals, old or new.
Coming from a medalist, folks, he collects medals, obviously. I do not collect medals, not because I don't enjoy looking at them. There are some absolutely stunning medals out there, and most medals are in larger form, which really show off the design in deep relief, and that attracts my eye because you see so much more detail in medals. I appreciate medals and I love medals. I don't collect them because I have so many other areas that I try to concentrate on. But no one should ever poo-poo medals or any other area of numismatics that you don't collect. Every person has its own niche, and they should stick to that. But I certainly do appreciate lovely medals, absolutely.
Any other questions? John?
Oh, Bill, we're really honored to be here with you. You're a great numismatist. You know, my question is, as a life member of the original Hobo Nickel Society, have you seen any Bo or Bert counterfeits out there? I know U.S. coins are counterfeited pretty badly, but how about the original Hobo Nickels?
I've not been involved that deeply with the OH&S, Original Hobo Nickel Society, in recent years. And up until the time that I became less interested, I'm still interested devoutly, but I don't think I ever saw a counterfeit Bert or Bo that hasn't been indicated as a counterfeit. Now, there may be some out there that I haven't seen, and there's some awfully good modern artists out there that scare me to death because they can create these and replicate them to the nth degree, but I haven't noticed any.
Thank you. Any more questions? Sam?
Bill, just want to say again, thank you so much for all the fun I've had cherry picking U.S. die varieties. I collect a lot of world coins also. I used to teach world history, so I've really fallen in love with world coin collecting. And I've noticed there are lots of really dramatic world die varieties. I guess this is maybe a question more for our good folks from Whitman. Do you guys plan on doing a cherry picker's guide to rare die varieties of world coins at some point? And if you need my help, please, you have my email.
There really are some dramatic foreign double dies, and yeah. I might mention one thing. In the new Cherry Picker's Guide, there's going to be a section on Philippine varieties, okay? Repunched mint marks, over mint marks, and double dies. So that's going to be a new addition. I think it's going to be very well received.
Well, thank you everyone for your questions. Finally, Bill Fiva, in numismatics and in life, what do you hope your legacy will be?
In numismatics, I guess because of the cherry pickers, probably the FS numbers, which are the identification numbers for the different varieties that are in the book. Hopefully that's going to last a long time. FS Fiva Stanton, incidentally. I hope that'll last quite a long time, well after the books are gone. Also, I hope people remember that how much I enjoyed numismatics and enjoyed meeting people and sharing whatever knowledge I have with them. The most fun I have on the numismatic floor down there on the Bourse floor is having people come up to me and say, hey, I just found this variety, what do you think? Or how do you grade this coin? I love to share whatever knowledge I have, and that probably is the thing about numismatics that I would like to have people remember me for. As far as personally, in the eulogy I gave my dad when he passed away several years ago, I said that he was a gentleman and a gentleman. I guess I'd like to be remembered as a gentleman. Thank you.
We will remember
you.
you
Thank
as a
you.
gentleman and a gentleman.
Thank you.
Everyone, tonight we're also going to have free copies of our estate planning guide that Bill was instrumental in helping us get funding of his own to help us get started and initiate the process. And he'll be happy to autograph them tonight.
Be delighted.
So free copies and an autograph.
I'll even sign my married name.
Thank you so much, Bill.
Thank you.